How's everyone going? This is Boffo with Boffo Asks What. I know there wasn't one done due to last week, but you know what? I ain't got a car. He's got a car.
I do.
So he came to my house to help me, put up some more video, if you will, and it's much appreciated. I do have a couple of interviews in line, but for right now, this is what.
How many
got.
of you guys were going to drive to Drake's house? That's why I'm on episode 4 after being on episode 1, the pilot. So, you know, we're going to have a good time. We're going to talk about some WMWA memories we have. And I mean, we got 147 shows in the bank, so we got a lot of them and whatever. So, you know, ask away, Drake. I got a lot of good stories, so don't you. So, whatever you want to start with.
Well, we are coming up to 150.
Yeah.
And, who would have thunk it that we would have actually done that many shows. So here is my question to you.
Yeah.
What show number do you think we're actually going to call it quits on?
Well,
if you had to guess it. And I want to see some guessing in the comments too.
Yeah.
Maybe we
That's
can
a
hold
good
a poll.
I think if it was up to me, what I'd like to see was us. I'd love to see us get to 200. You know what I mean? That'd be a nice round number. You know, it would be really great. And I know we got a lot of guys on the roster that would probably like wrestle as long as they can until they're freaking, ARP's knocking at their door and Ric Flair steps in and says, "Dude, you got to stop." But that's really tough to say. I remember, 2 years ago we almost got shut down again, and we would have been happy to get to like 130. Getting to 100 was a big deal. The fact that we actually looks like we're gonna get to 150 plus is a really cool thing, man. It's really hard to say, but 160, 170 looks very doable. You never know for sure. I don't want to say, we're gonna get to here, we're definitely gonna get to there, because we've been in that scenario where we've been shut down. We were shut down for 3 years. We were shut down for a few months a couple years ago, before we found Landry's ring.
Keeps coming back.
Yeah. So I don't want to get ahead of myself or anything like that, but there's still legs in WMWA, and I'm happy to keep racking up the shows. 200 would have been the ideal number, but that's a stretch, and I know that's a stretch because that's, even with double tapings once a month, you're still talking another 2 full years every month. That's asking a lot. That's a lot of money. That's you're talking over $2,000, $2,400. For 24 months there, and assuming it doesn't go up again. No, I mean, and I understand inflation is everywhere and wherever you look. I'm not, $100 a day is still fair. Just, you do get people that are, very dedicated to wrestling, but don't always chip in every show. I know we had a thing in July where it was like, hey, if you don't chip in, you don't show up. Well, everybody that showed up chipped in. So it is hard to say, but I definitely think we got another 20 plus in WMWA. Plus, so just trying to be modest, not trying to, oh yeah, we're gonna go forever and we're gonna beat Raw. No. We've been shut down before. Getting to where we're at right now is a big goal from starting point. It's another 20 shows seems very realistic, at least, So
Now, if here's another, I guess, a what if type scenario question. No one, the recruitment process, if you will, for WMWA seems to be like, you show up, you're gonna wrestle. So following along with that process, we've had people like Bouncer just randomly show up and start wrestling with us. We've had CJ randomly had heard of us, and he had showed up to wrestle with us, and so on and so forth. And so, do you see another big star showing up out of the blue, or do you think it's going to be something that like someone's heard through the grapevine, like I somehow knew someone somewhere that wanted to wrestle that was going to be a big impact?
Well, I mean, we've actually recruited, and I would say that because after the 100th show, we lost our good group of wrestlers. Drake, I'm not your modest guy, but you're a good wrestler. So Big C, obviously. Angel is a great wrestler for us too. All three of you guys. Plus, all the the guys you don't really see too often anymore. Anarchy only worked maybe 2 to 3 matches after the 100 show. So those were guys that were WWE originals, regulars, this, that, and the other thing. So that was a big loss, and the roster, we lean heavy on guys like Aaron and CJ and Adrian who had great matches against each other, and those were kind of our, watch what our guys can do matches. And then the main event scene.
Adrian's gone now too.
Yeah, Adrian had a great last match at 147. We wanted him to get in there. Taylor was asking for a match with him. CJ was asking for a match. Otis. So it was good to go with the 4-way aspect so everyone gets a piece of him. And he had an amazing match and a really great dive over the top rope that was really, really awesome. It was extremely well done. Yeah, so, we lose a lot of people, but I would say over the last, year we've picked up a lot of people. I mean, look who we've added. Logan, HG, Chris, Johnny Thrice, Eric Pierce, Kincaid and Spinner have come in, working as enhancement talent, trying to just improve their game. So, I mean, the fact that in the last year we've added 7 guys that are there pretty much all the time, that's pretty cool. It's a good number to add right there. So, the roster is a pretty steady, like 13 to 15 guys, which is really what you want. I would say the biggest the roster's ever been. Let's say like 2005, we had maybe 20 to 24 guys on the roster. You talk about all the Holyoke kids.
That was some impressive shit.
Yeah, no doubt. And we had a real ring, and we were taping at a insane rate at the time. We were doing a show basically every week. You imagine if we did a double taping every week, because we were there for a while, right? We could have done. I think in July we hit 5 shows, 5 Sundays or Saturdays. We wrestled in this 5 different days in the same month. So that's why it feels like it's more. Maybe we do 2 shows on a double taping on one day because it's just more efficient that way. I mean, hell, you got TNA taping 5 fucking Impacts in like 2-day span because it's just cheap that way. But yeah, no, we did 5 Sundays in July. That's why, now it's just coming to me, that's why we felt like we did so many, because we did. We were there 5 different days in 1 month wrestling back then. But yeah, no, and we got our usual guys. It's cool to see Olin and Bouncer still wrestling during those days. Bouncer had a great title run last year as heavyweight champion. Olin just had a great title run as heavyweight champion. So it's great to see those guys that have stuck with it and win it. And stuff like that. Bobby Otis just won the heavyweight championship after being Bobby Otis for 3 years and 2 years as Joey Rancid. So it feels good to see guys that have worked so long and so hard win the title. So I think those moments are still really cool and stuff like that. So those are the things that keep going. Like, and I expect guys like I know Taylor Made's working really hard to be a guy that can win the heavyweight title, and so I think I look forward to him working at that and all that other good stuff. So
indeed. So I wanted to touch up upon this because this has been said a couple of times in previous recordings, but there was always issues with the camera, and so this story never tended to make the light of day. And so this story was when I had lost the belt, the heavyweight belt, to Mr. Rush over here
4 years ago.
4 years ago. It was in the summer.
Fucking hot July day out in the sun, baking in the sun.
That's right. Now I want to tell you this story because it has a little moral at the end, and you know what? I'm just going to tell you the moral right now, and it is, if you're a champion in WMWA, show the fuck up. And I'm not saying this. I mean, I haven't been watching all the episodes recently, so I don't know if anyone hasn't shown up. So
all the current champions are there all the time. So obviously, this is CJ Supreme Champ. He's there every show. Pierce is there every show. And Otis is there every show. And those are our champions. So obviously we're not talking about anybody that's currently a champion or who's going to be one or who was just a champion. We're talking in general over the years.
I can list, though, over the years, a couple of people that have been champions. And I'm not just talking about the heavyweight belt. I'm talking about any belt. Any belt you should respect.
I used to call it the Supreme Sickness because when people would win the fucking Supreme title, ironically, they would miss shows afterwards. And I'm like, what the fuck, man? It's
I had that flu.
It's happened. Backyard, yourself, and then Torque worked so hard to win the hybrid title, and he had missed a few shows afterwards, and it was like, Torque, I don't want to strip you, but at the same time, man, he missed so many shows, my hand was forced, because, it was his first title run, and he worked so hard to get it, and he had a great match winning it, and You know, stuff like that. I don't want to ever strip anyone of the title. I hate that, but you know.
And again, if you want any type of future consideration with your belt, drop it in the same way that you pick it up. And that is the other guys trying to work hard to put you over, to make you look good, to give you a successful title run. You should at least do the same thing. And again, in there we have a couple of examples we could post on here that some people haven't left the belt in as good a condition as they have.
There are guys that you go back and they do everything that they can when they know they're winning a championship to go out there and have a 21-minute epic war, and then they lose the belt and it's like a 4-minute tape for WCW Saturday night.
Fuckapaloo.
Yeah, with like fucking, you know, it's like, come on, man. Like you know, the guy who you beat for it, you know, went out there and gave you a 20-minute classic in your opinion. You know, maybe it doesn't hold up well, whatever, but you love it. He you know, worked hard in it. And you don't lose the belt in the same fashion, you know what I mean? So,
so the story is, which I had the belt, I'm, again, dropping it to Rush, and my family had also planned a vacation that day. And, you know, it just wasn't planned well. And so basically, I showed up to wrestling when I should not have, and dropped the belt.
We did our best to accommodate you. We taped that match first,
so I could do it and get home. Long story short, the family was extremely pissed that I went to go do wrestling instead of helping packing and this and that for the trip. But unfortunately, you know what? If you got the belt, you have to drop it in the same way. You're a champion. You're held to higher standards. If there was ever a professionalism in this group, if there was ever anything that I could count on, to be the champions to show up and drop the belt when it's supposed to and not get fucking stripped. Because again, it's stupid. If we're gonna give you the belt and you get to have your little fucking limelight for your 15 matches or what the fuck ever, you know what? Show the fuck up. That's all. I mean, I took a lot of heat from that back in the day.
But you know what? Everyone respected for you know, Dawson and Angel and Olin and everyone that was there. It was like, no, that was really cool of him. And you know, that carried over to me because we were doing a double taping that day. And you know, it was the first time, and I think it was the very last time I ever wrestled twice in one day because I had a match with Angel. And I'm like, all right, let me go get some fucking beef jerky or some shit, get some protein in me, and let's do this. And I had another match, definitely my favorite match ever with Angel for the championship. So that felt really good. You know, then a former champion, it put me over an Angel in the same day. I felt like $1 million, dude. I was so happy to have won the championship. So, you know, it would have sucked if, you know, Drake had vacated it and then I have to wrestle someone I wasn't planning to wrestle, and obviously the match wouldn't have been as good. So, yeah, no, stuff like that's really important. And just for the record, in, you know, the 11 years of the championship history, or, you know, 8 if you want to not count the vacated years, or the 3 years we were, you know, out of business. Hiatus. The belt's only been vacated 3 times. When we got shut down, you know, with Justin Moore was champion, and he came back and he won it, and he was the first ever 2-time champ. When I was injured, I tore my labrum after surgery, so it's not like I had already come back, and obviously there's no way I could have done that. That's an injury. And the last time was when Dawson and Drake at the 100th show, when both guys were going to retire, and it was obvious no matter who won the match, the title was going to be vacated. So that was well planned, you know.
Were you talking about just the heavyweight belt or just
heavyweight? I'm talking about the heavyweight belt. The other 2 belts.
There are a lot of other instances.
Dude, we would run out of space and we have to film about 700 times and just read off a fucking Chris Jericho 1004 moves list to count the other guys. But I'm very proud that the heavyweight championship has only had to be vacated 3 times, and you know, one was a planned vacate, so that's not an issue. The other one was obviously a very serious injury, and the other one we got shut down. So nobody's putting any blame on any of those, so that's good, you know. So so yeah, so that's pretty much it. The heavyweight title, I'm pretty proud of that lineage. I do want to say, I remember 2009, there was a very bad show at the end of the year in terms of, like, Justin Moore was very pissed about a long segment to start the show, but we needed a minute so he could cash in his rematch for later that night against Big C, because he just lost his championship to Big C. And then he started that match, and you were the manager out there, and I was commentating. You're manager for Big C, yep. And he laid down what it ended up being a spot where he ended up tricking Big C and kneeing him in the head. But for that few seconds there, I was like, you know what? You could be pissed off at me, you could be pissed off at someone else or whatever, but don't disrespect that championship lineage by laying down, and don't do disrespect Big C by making his first title defense a joke. So I'm glad he didn't do it, but believe you me, if he had, that's as close as it ever came to someone disrespecting that championship. And I probably would have lost it, dude. I mean, I'm sure, you know, a lot of people would have said, dude, that's not cool. You know what I mean?
There's no bigger way to garner heat than just to disrespect people or the belt or the lineage or whatever for no fucking reason. If you got your fucking panties in a bunch that day, you know, so be it. Get the fuck through it. We'll give you your space. We realize, you know, you need some space, and then, you know, we won't fucking bother you. And talk to your other person that you're having a match with. Tell me you're not having a fucking great day, that you'd like to keep it simple, or this or that. We're here to work with you. We're not here to make shit difficult. So, you know, meet us halfway. Because, again, there's no bigger way to get heat than just to be a dumbass and say something or do something. Because it'll get around. You might not hear it, but it'll get around. I mean, we tone shit down from the indies, but we're human. We do gossip and we do talk. So that's all I got to say about that.
True that, man. True that. So I'm trying to think. Be a good thing. You want to talk about some stables? What you like best of? I was never really. I did run the Resurgence stable in 2013, which was like, you know, little stables were kind of on their way out at that time. It wasn't like a big era in WNWA, but I'm gonna hit you with a question, then you can, and I'll answer myself. You were in the new Throwdown stable, and you were in the original Alliance stable, which was against the original Throwdown. So you were in two big stables throughout your time. What was your favorite thing about being in a group, and what was your least favorite thing about being in a group?
Well, you definitely, being in a group, you definitely lose a little bit of that singles limelight, if you will, because in any type of conversation, be it commentary or, you know, promos, you're never just you. You're not the focus. It's you and someone else. Now, I'm not saying that's a positive or a negative. I'm just stating a fact that that's what it is. Now, I'll tell you one thing. I liked being part of the Alliance because, again, I wasn't 100% up to par yet.
Well, that was the point of the group. The Alliance actually had a point to me because you got established main guys in Bill, Ethan Payne, and Dave Dawson. And then you got the two young guys, you and Danger Dave, who were going to get elevated out of the group. So that was the point of it. There was a good makeup to that. I liked it.
So I liked that. Now, I did not like New Throwdown 100%. Maybe it was just me. Because it was obviously a parody of the old Throwdown, to where I was fucking Edward Vapor, and some of the other roles got switched around to where some other people were this person and that person. Big C was clearly Big C, and so on and so forth. Now, I have never felt like a fat, useless shit. Wow. As I did with that New Throwdown, because I definitely took the Toogie Edward Vapor personality, and I just completely fucking expanded upon it to where it was pretty much every day of my life, to where I'd show up and, you know, I wouldn't take the bumps, and I'd do I'd go around like a fucking clown. So unfortunately I modeled the wrong personality, but it was right because everything looked accurate. You still had good
matches in that run, though. I remember, like, the match that I had, my favorite match with you in, like, October 2010 was right in the middle of Throwdown. So,
well, personally, myself, I didn't feel too good about it.
It helped elevate Aaron Douglas, I thought, and in that revolving fourth member, that just became a thing. It was Angel, and then Evan got in there, and I can't even fucking tell you who else was in there. Snake and Adrian.
Yeah, we had Snake for a second there.
Yeah,
that was
Adrian
a funny
for
little
a second
segment
there. That's how he made his debut. I'll say my favorite thing of the stable thing is I get to work closely with other people and stuff like that. Like I had a really good promo in 2013 where I put over every single guy in my group, which was CJ, Douglas, Taylor, and Armani. Because you know the great thing is. And this goes for the promos, and this is why CM Punk's promos are so good. When you say A, B, and C, that are things at point A, B, and C, and they're all fucking true, D and E become believable because you're starting with so much truth, you know? But I really believe that everything I said about those guys, that they were dedicated and they were putting on the best matches and they were getting overlooked the year or two before because the main event scene was you and Big C and Dawson and Humberto and stuff like that. And guys like, you know, we say it all the time, but it's true. Armani almost stole the 100 show in that Falls Count Anywhere with Bouncer.
Yep.
And Armani had another phenomenal match with Pierce last show. And that's just, you know, that's where Armani shines in the middle of the show. And that's not to say he's not a main eventer, because he's a great former heavyweight champion. He deserved it. But, you know, it's almost like he's so good at being that sleeper hit. He's that director that just kills it. He can do a blockbuster, but he makes a great indie film too. You know what I mean? So stuff like that I liked working with. But I don't know, at the same time too, you kind of combine the group and it gets to be too big. Like, you know, we had 5 members in that group in a very small, maybe 10, 11 man roster. It got to be too much.
It was kind of a clusterfuck.
If that Resurgent group was done maybe a year or two ago, like before that, 2012 or 2011, it would have worked a lot better. And maybe if we cut a member sooner, yeah, that probably would have worked a little bit better. Side note, I think we got plenty of time because I got 4 gigs on this, but if we just randomly cut out at some point, we're sorry. Yeah, we're not doing this again. This is the second time we fucking filmed this shit, but we're not done talking, so just deal, man. So, Drake, I'm gonna hit you with another question. You are a Grand Slam champion, which in WWE means you won the heavyweight belt, Supreme Tag Team, which is not around anymore, so obviously Grand Slams are few and far between, and then the Hybrid Championship. So you're the second guy to do that, behind Dawson. So what did that mean to you to be a guy to win 4 different championships, you know, on that very small exclusive roster?
You know, it's funny. It kind of snuck up on me, really, because, you know, I had won the Supreme belt.
You were the inaugural WMWA Supreme Champion.
Yeah,
11 years ago.
Exactly, way back in the day. And then, you know, the tag belts kind of sneak up on you because, I mean, back then, you know, we tried to put emphasis on the tag teams.
Yeah.
But let's face it, the tag team belts weren't really held in the same esteem as some of the other belts. So,
yeah. It was a championship, and it was great to have a championship. At the same time, everyone wants to be that singles guy, and you never know how long you're going to get tied down to being a tag team.
Yeah, well, we really didn't have, like, solid tag teams that were just tag teams. I mean, because we didn't have a lot of the roster. We had, you know, like D&M.
It was funny, too, because you were supposed to win the tag titles with Big C, and I changed it because Snake had become the 4th member, and I'm like, well, if Snake and Drake win it together, every member of that group will have a belt. And, you know, it's fine, because Snake being tag champ, it's fine, because, you know, Drake, you know, he is his partner. Aaron had just won the Supreme title, and Big C was heavyweight champion, and Big C wasn't greedy. He was more than okay with having someone else win a belt and get a title, so he would only have the one. And I just found the ironic in the sense that the last title you had before the tag belt was the first heavyweight title run you had, and you lost it to Snake. So it's like you had no success in championships for 5 years until you teamed up with Snake and you got over that hurdle again. I just thought it was fucking hilarious. I thought it was the irony is great in that. I loved it.
The whole Snake situation was definitely
That's a story for another day. We're not gonna have another 20 minutes to tell that shit.
no.
That's gonna be on the Drake documentary. We'll make sure we get that shit in there. But yeah, Snake was a good guy. Out of all the fluke champions in the world, him being heavyweight champion is
made the most sense.
Now we're in September, early September, so that happened 10 years ago, man. Holy shit!
Fuck.
How do you feel about that?
How
do you feel about that?
That's what I feel like.
Yeah.
And talking about old, I mean, again, just hey, make your plans for after you're done wrestling, because, you know, it doesn't last forever. You might wrestle 10, you might wrestle 20 years.
Everyone has an expiration date. That's the truth, man. And it may not be the date you want to go out, but you do. Your body can only do so much, you know. So
yeah, I mean, you might even be doing it till you're fucking in your 50s, you know, some weekend warrior. But you know what? Unless you really enjoy not doing anything in life, think of something else. Because I'm telling you right now.
There's not only, I mean, like, too. I mean, WWE is just like the hot spot, right? Obviously, that's where you want to be, or NXT, Raw, SmackDown, yada yada. But you know, there's only so many guys on that roster. I mean, more, and it's not a negative thing, it's just the truth. More guys won't make it than make it, you know, because there's just so many guys trying to be, you know, professional wrestlers and be in that limelight, obviously. And then there's that small window of guys that can make money outside of being a WWE guy.
Play the lottery, you're going to have a better chance.
Well, I wouldn't go that far. It all depends.
I'm going that far.
It all depends on your ability, but you have to be... Lance Storm said something, and I actually posted on the WWE page, that you have to take criticism and use that to your advantage. You know what I mean? Like, if I say, hey, you know what? Your promo you just rambled, right? You're not talking about anything. So, like, when Kevin Landry came and he opened the ring for us maybe a month or so or 2 months ago, he was talking about how these guys go out there and they get, you know, cheap heat. Like, oh, you're fat, you're ugly, you're stupid. And he's like, my 10-year-old son or whatever could do that. You know what I mean? Your job is to go out there and make people want to see your match. You know, if I'm having a match with Drake and I say Drake fucking sucks and he's a loser, and then he goes out and beats me, what does that make me look like, right? My job is to say Drake is, you know, I don't like him, but he's pretty damn good, and I'm gonna prove that I'm better and make people want to see that match. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. So just get better. Nobody is perfect. The best guys in the business, John Cena, and in terms of like their level and stuff like that. Their longevity and what they've accomplished. You know, if you're not getting better, man, you're getting worse. Or you're staying the same, and staying the same in wrestling means you're getting stale. So, you know, it's not a negative. And it just, people got to realize that if if someone's critiquing you, you know, stuff like that. So it is what it is, and play to your strengths. You know, Drake's not going to go out there and hit a fucking 630. Or 450.
No. And I'm not going to fucking try, because it makes no goddamn sense.
Yeah, no.
There's no reason why someone weighing goddamn 300 fucking pounds should be doing fucking moonsaults or 630s or fucking 420 in your mouths. Fucking, there's no fucking...
Yeah.
There's no fucking reason. Wrestle the way wrestling is supposed to be. You're a big guy, do some fucking big guy shit. You're a little guy, do some fucking little guy shit. There's no fucking reason why... And I don't even know if this has ever happened. I'm just throwing it out there. There's no reason why someone like Angel Dust or Logan X or fucking Joey Rancid should be fucking suplexing Hell's Guardian. There's no fucking reason for it ever happen. And if I ever see it happening, I'm gonna fucking post on fucking Facebook the next day that you should just fucking stop right now. I mean, no one's ever gonna tell you to quit. No one's ever gonna do this. But from a logistics standpoint, I mean, if you say you're so passionate about wrestling and you say you're trying your fucking best, well then obviously you're either A, full of shit, or B, you're trying to redefine the fucking laws of physics by trying to do it, and that's not fucking realistic.